I'm not really an entrepreneur. I was just given opportunities to do things. And maybe that's going to be the theme of this, is to take advantage. You never know what opportunities are going to lead to. Some door might open. I'm always saying yes.
On today's episode of Rise, Grind, Repeat, we talk to Jeff from Native Game Night. Talk about how his run-in with the local sheriff led him to be the host of Sierra Vista's most amazing game night. Let's dive right in. Jeff, thanks so much for joining on another episode of Rise, Grind, Repeat.
Dustin, I can tell you that this is the most exciting thing to happen to me ever today. This is by far. I'm sitting in the same chair as my Instagram friends, Melissa, Lexi, Eric, Clay, David. Do you want me to name every person who's been here?
Wow.
I can really name them all.
Are you friends with all of them?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I am, which is crazy. I mean, I've only met... no, I haven't. I've talked to them and DM'd them and spoken to them on voice memo on Instagram.
That's cool.
I was hoping to meet them while I was up here. It's got to be next time.
Next time.
But they're such cool people. So to sit in the same chair as those wonderful people, my tuchus is very happy to sit in this chair.
That is awesome.
Today.
And I'm happy because what you've done is awesome. I can't wait to kind of hear your story and what you're doing and what you're doing on a weekly basis and really what you bring to the world.
What I bring to the world. It all started on Sunday, September 5th, 1976. A bicentennial baby boy was born breech, came out. No, that is a true story. But no, I mean, to be here and to talk about this, it's crazy to think about where my life has come and what it's come from. When I told people I was going to be on this podcast, I said, they were excited. You know, they were like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, Jeff. You're going to be on a YouTube channel and a podcast talking about Native Game Night. This is ridiculous. What's the YouTube channel and podcast about? I said, well, it's about Valley-based entrepreneurs. And my friends look at me and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. I said, whoa, hey, the irony is not lost on me that I'm neither Valley-based nor an entrepreneur. But nonetheless, I asked Dustin really, really nicely. I said, please, would you please have me on your podcast and YouTube channel to talk about the silly trivia night? And I am so grateful that you said yes.
Love it. And I'm excited to hear more about it. And before we get into Native Game Night, would love to just kind of hear your story. What's your story? What are you about? How have you gotten to today?
How have I gotten to today? Man, the cool part is you and I have something in common. You were a high school athlete in the baseball side. I was a high school athlete on the football side. Mm-hmm. I played football for Buena High School. I'm from Sierra Vista, Arizona, which is just south of Tucson, for those of you who like to do birding and hiking and things like that. Come on down. There's plenty of exciting stuff happening down there, not just on Wednesday Wednesday nights. But beyond that, we'll get into that. But beyond that, you know, my dad was in the military, and so we moved around a lot as a kid, and he ended up retiring in Sierra Vista in Fort Huachuca, which was a military intelligence hub at the time, down there in kind of like how there's Luke Air Force Base up here, there's Davis-Monthan in Tucson, there's Fort Huachuca down in Sierra Vista, and that was the military base where we ended up moving to when I was a freshman in high school, and pretty much stayed there ever since. Ended up getting done with high school. I got recruited by a few small schools in Kansas and Nebraska to play football. Ended up at one of them, and the great part was I was a third string defensive back. Now, I mean, in high school, our junior year on varsity, I was a running back on offense, mainly used as a blocking back, and we had the number 2 offense in the 5A South. I don't know how they categorize it anymore. I don't think it's
it was 5A when I was in high school.
Okay, all right. Well, you're not that old. Stop. You're too young. You're too young for it to be 5A. But so we had the number 2 ranked offense my junior year. My senior year, I switched over to defense, played corner. And we had the number 2 defense that year. It ended up going to state. My senior year, from Sierra Vista, Buena High School, went to state. We were, it was a nobody school in a nothing town, but just a bunch of kids who really worked hard and had a great team concept from when we were freshmen going up and, playing together on JV. We would scrimmage on JV. We would scrimmage against the varsity as sophomores, and we would beat them in scrimmages. It was great. I was so scared. I was scared out of my mind, but there was some really cool players like, we can go kick their butts. Let's go, guys. I'm cleaning it up a little bit. We can go kick their butts right now. And I'm like, okay, fine, let's go do it. You just get crazy and you go. You have that athlete's mindset. And so having that athlete's mindset our senior year with the number 2 defense in the 5A South, we ended up going to state. and we lost in the first round. We got destroyed in the first round by Mesa Mountain View, who at the time had a quarterback by the name of Joe Germain, who 2 years later would be the Rose Bowl MVP.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. And my one claim to fame is we lost like 50-8. My one claim to fame is Joe Germain did not complete one pass on my side of the field all night long. The Rose Bowl MVP.
Boom.
So if you're watching
huge.
this, Joe, I still challenge you to this day to look. No, I'm kidding. I'm sure he's a super sweet guy. But so that was my high school experience. I was like a nobody. I was kind of a wallflower. All my friends were not on the football team. My friends were aside from that. So I had the football team, and then my friends that I would hang out with and stuff. So I ran in different circles and had different circles of influence even back then that I didn't even know about. Going to college, played football, got recruited, like I said, by a few different schools in the Midwest. Played for a school called Sterling College in the middle of nowhere, Kansas.
Was it like Division II?
No, it was like the equivalent of a D3.
Okay.
And so I got recruited as a defensive back, and the best part about that experience was that our team stunk. And it meant that me as a third string defensive back, as a corner, I got to play the second half of every game. We're down by 50 points at halftime. The coach looks over and goes, "What's the worst that can happen? Davenport, get in there." And so I would. And so hearing your name announced in college football stadiums, making tackles is pretty cool. And there's just a very cool feeling about that. And then ended up, I was there just for 1 year, ended up, because I met this girl who's sitting over there, right there, and started dating her. And then ended up finishing my degree in December of 1998 at Grand Canyon University.
Nice.
I finished at GCU. I went to GCU all of 97, all of 98. Finished in December of 98 with a degree in human biology. My goal was to be a physician's assistant. I was going to be a PA. And I studied very hard. I worked hard. My GPA was decent, and I did well in the classes. And then I just totally bombed the GRE, the graduate requirement exam or whatever it's called. And I did so badly at that in January of 1999, I thought, you know what? Here's what I'll do. I'll take a year off from school.
Yep.
I will end up taking the GRE again in 1 year. But for now, what do? I don't know what to do. There was an opening at a small Christian radio station in my town. And I'm like, radio sounds easy. I think I could try this. I could try this. I could do this. And of course, almost every radio guy I know has that story of first being on the radio where they're just like, "Well, welcome and thank you for listening. I appreciate you being." You don't have your voice. You don't have. I certainly don't have the voice that Eric does as he talks about the Diamondbacks. It's like I do not have that voice. Yep. Most people nowadays they hear me on the radio and they think, "Wow, that chick sounds hot." I still have that kind of impact and influence on the radio today across Southern Arizona. But I started at that station, was there for a couple of years, and then got hired by another station that owned a network of stations across Southern Arizona. And then in 2005, I was hired by another company. My story is so weird because usually in radio, you work for one company.
And that's it.
Exactly. I got to work for two different companies, who both knew each other. They both knew I worked for each other.
Really?
You were looking at me like you were worried, did they know? I don't think they knew, Jeff. And Dustin, they knew. So they actually had relationships with each other before, and they just said, well, we'll just share Jeff. He'll be our sales guy, and rep down there in Sierra Vista, and he'll work for both of our stations. And for some reason, it worked out. I started working for the company that I'm working for now. I started working for in August of 2005. And my boss told me at the time, he said, "Hey, Jeff, just to let you know, you're going to work for me for 1 year, and then I'm going to move the station, and I'm going to sell it." And that was in August of 2005. And I'm still there today. And I'd like to think it's all because of me. It's probably because of the generousness, the generosity of my boss. But most radio stations you go to, there's, even like here, there's a lot of people behind the scenes. There's people you walk into an office setting. I'm it. So I am the radio station. I'm the production guy. I'm the sales guy. I'm the light engineering. Engineering. I'm the janitor. I do very badly at that. Leah lets me know how poor I'm doing at that. She'll come by and say, "Well, I gave you a duster. You know what that duster is for?" And I know. And you guys do a very nice job here. It's very clean here. By
Thank
the way.
you.
Very, very clean here. And so I'm just cruising on along, and being a radio guy, a medium-sized fish in a small pond. Yeah. And so because I'm the only representative for these two radio companies, nobody has to deal with, you have to deal with our production team, with that. You have to deal with our
You deal
billing
with you.
team. You have to. I do it all. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all of those teams in one. And so the fun part about that is you get to see every aspect of the job. You get to see every aspect of what the client needs and walk them through everything. And that's so much fun. Creating the relationships with the businesses is something I'm very passionate about. Again, being in a small town, you get to know everybody.
Yeah.
And you're there long enough. As long as I've been there, I went to community college at Cochise College. So, I have relationships that go back to the early to mid 90s with some people there that actually I still have friendships with today. Yeah, which is really kind of wild. You lose touch and then all of a sudden you get reconnected because of social media. And it's like, this is amazing. How did we, and you just pick up right where you left off. It's just the greatest thing ever. It's kind of the cool part about friendships and having that tight-knit community in a smaller town like Sierra Vista. All of a sudden, life takes an interesting twist in 2014. And I end up getting the opportunity to meet our sheriff, the Cochise County Sheriff. His name is Mark Daniels.
Hopefully in a friendly way, not in the back of a car.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was I still have I'm sorry. No, it was actually his wife was working for a medical office at the time, and I was calling on them for advertising for our company, for our radio station. And I go in and I meet with her, sit down with her, just like I'm sitting down with you. And we just chat. And she goes, "You know what? I think Mark would like to get to know you." And I was like, "The sheriff?" I start fangirling out. I'm going crazy. This is exciting. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, the sheriff wants to meet me." Oh, sure. Yeah, like I'm something special. I end up having Leah and I, we went to dinner with them at the Outback in the summer of 2014, just sitting there talking to Sheriff Mark and his wife, Nikki. And Mark is, I think he's like the president of the Kiwanis Club and a president of all these different clubs and stuff, really very involved in the community of Cochise County and Sierra Vista. And he says, "Jeff, I do this production every year. It's called Sizzle. Have you heard of it?" I'm like, I don't know. I've heard of it. I don't know what that is. It's a ladies' night out charity fundraiser for Kiwanis where we get 300 ladies. We do gaming tables. We do drinks. We do fun. We do entertainment. I think you could entertain. I think that you would be great at that. I'm like going, "What do you mean entertain?" He's like, "Well, you play the guitar. You can come play songs for us." I'm like, I do. Okay, all right. I can try that. Sure. I know some oldies songs. That's one of the main stations I work for. Sure, we can do that. And he's like, "That would be great." Sheriff Mark makes me look like I'm on Ambien. So he's one of those kind of guys where he's just very energetic and a go-getter and so much fun to do things with. And that September of 2014, I showed up. And their special guest, they usually bring in a special guest for this particular annual function. Special guest was Steven Seagal.
That is cool.
It really wasn't. It really wasn't.
It wasn't?
I've seen more emotion on wallpaper than in Steven's. I'm just kidding. If Steven's watching this, I'm sure he is.
He is.
He's an interesting guy, a very interesting guy, very dry. And we kept him hidden down below in the basement of this building, of the Columbian Hall or whatever, and then brought him up and, "Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Steven Seagal," and that was after I played some songs and stuff.
Yep.
But from that particular time, that friendship with Sheriff Mark ended up becoming, "Hey Jeff, here's my number. I might need to call you to come help me MC some things." Slowly but surely, I move into doing some MCing with him and just doing these major events. In Sierra Vista, Cochise County, there are major events that happen every month. The community is a tight-knit place.
Yep.
Being from
Yuma.
Yuma.
Yeah, from Yuma, there's tons.
Exactly. There's something that's happening all the time. And there's got to be somebody on a microphone to help direct the traffic.
Yep.
And so I got to be that person. So there's Sheriff Mark, who's just straight guy, and then there's me, the maniac, going off and telling these crazy stories and making people laugh and trying to entertain people at the same time while they're there. And mainly it's for charities. It's for different nonprofit organizations that are looking to raise money. It's fundraisers for these different things. And so I look at it as just a way to meet people and hang out. A year later, fast forward 1 year later to September of 2015. So my MCing journey technically started in 2014. 1 year later, I'm an MC of Sizzle. Sizzle comes back around. I'm an MC this time. And I've got a photo of this. where there's the group of guys getting our photos. So the way Sizzle works, like I said, it's a ladies' night out fundraiser. So the ladies come in, and there's a bunch of local businessmen who act as their bartenders, basically. They just run drinks all night. And then there's me on the microphone directing traffic. There's a part where we introduce the waiters. Here's your waiter. He's at table number 4. Here he is. And I just, I get on the mic, and I'm going all WWE and get all crazy on it, and, doing all sorts of, crazy announcing stuff and going wild. In this photo that we'll show you, I didn't know, but the gentleman standing right behind me, his name is Marcus Tufel. And Marcus lives here in Phoenix and works for an organization called Native Grill and Wings. He owns a couple of franchises of those restaurants, and he built one down in Sierra Vista in July of 2015. So 2 months earlier, 2 to 3 months earlier, this new restaurant opens in Sierra Vista, Native Grill and Wings. Yeah. Why do we need the first thing I thought when I saw that thing going up, why do we need another wing place?
So was it the old Native New Yorker?
It was, yes. And they rebranded. Gotcha. And now they're hubbed out of Chandler is their corporate office. They're right here in the Valley, which is kind of interesting. I would learn that slowly along the way. But what Marcus did, and it was funny because I didn't even know that he was standing right behind me in the photo. It wasn't until a year later I was kind of scrolling through, and then I'm like, I wonder where he was in that photo. He's literally standing right behind me. Yeah. And little did I know, at the time that photo was taken, that guy standing behind me would end up changing my life. And again, it was because of Sheriff Mark, who was sitting right next to me, that the connection all comes back to him. Every good thing that's happened in my life since 2014, I can almost directly correlate with Sheriff Mark and the opportunities that he gave me to just try to entertain people and be silly and be funny, and then the rest was about taking advantage of opportunities, side hustles. It's like this is, and I know this is about entrepreneurs and Valley-based, and I'm not really an entrepreneur. I was just given opportunities to do things, and maybe that's going to be the theme of this: is to take advantage. You never know what opportunities are going to lead to. Some door might open. I'm always saying yes. This is part of the problem. I have a problem. My wife knows that I have a problem. The issue is, someone asks me to do something, I say, no problem. Leah reminds me, you can stop at no. You can stop at no. Instead, I say, no problem, let's do this. Yeah. And you just never know what's going to happen. So that night in September of 2015, as in that photo, Marcus is standing right behind me. He comes up to me in the middle of the night as things are going on, and the ladies are there having a good time. There's live DJ, live band, all sorts of crazy stuff. And Marcus comes up to me and he says, "Hey, Jeff, my name's Marcus. You introduced me. You went all WWE. You're Marcus Tuba. You went all WWE on me, and oh my gosh, that was great. And I'm from Phoenix, and I just built this restaurant called Native. Have you been there?" And I'm going, I haven't been there yet. I'm sorry. No, I haven't. And he's like, "Well, I got this idea of doing a trivia night, and I think you would be an amazing game show host." And I looked at him and said, "I always wanted to be a game show host."
No problem.
I did. Yeah, exactly. No problem. Except there was a problem, because I looked at him that night and I said, "Marcus, doing a trivia night, that sounds very interesting. Maybe I'll help you get it off the ground. Yeah. But I think when I get home after work, I get in my PJs, I eat my dinner, I get on the couch and watch TV, and I go to bed, not necessarily in that order. I'm a homebody. I like going home. I like my TV. I like my TiVo. I like the shows. I just don't. I don't think." He's like, no, man. Seriously, you can. Let's meet up and let's talk. I'm going, okay. I guess. All right, fine. So that was September. October of 2015. He's down from Phoenix to Sierra Vista, sends me a text message, and I go down there and to the restaurant, walk in for the first time. I still hadn't been there before. And I walk in, and it's a lunchtime crowd, barely anybody there. And I see him off in the corner, and I'm like, "Hey." It's like, "Hey, how's it going? Come on over." And he kind of gives me the lay of the land of what he sees as the trivia night. And I'm kind of like, I'm not really interested. Which is, I know.
I was going to say, I was blown away. It's going to be amazing.
No, I'm not interested at all. I'm thinking, this makes no sense. I've lived in this town for a long time. Nothing good lasts in this town. Nothing lasts here. It doesn't. And he said, "Okay, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to, in the restaurant industry, growing up, I never worked restaurants. I always worked retail. So I didn't have that relationship with the restaurant industry. I was never a busser or a waiter, cook, server, anything like that. I was never any of that. I always worked retail. So there's a lot of cool dynamics that I got to learn early on about the restaurant business." And he said, one of the first things he told me, one of the first things I learned about the restaurant business, he said, "You know what, Jeff? Wednesday nights are typically the slowest night in the restaurant industry. So we want to do the trivia night on Wednesday night. And I said, Wednesday night? That will never work. That was literally came out of my mouth.
Really?
That will never work. And he said, oh, and I want to start it. I want to start it at 6:30 p.m. 6:30 should give people time to get off of work.
Yeah.
And then go home, change, or do whatever they want, and then come out to the restaurant. I said, 6:30? That's way too late. That will never work. And he said every single thing. I think he listed off like 4 or 5 things, and I kept saying all the way down the line, I was like, oh, that'll never work. and I don't know why. I'm not normally a negative. Maybe I am a negative person. Maybe you're bringing this out of me, Dustin. Maybe I am a very negative person. But he just kept saying all these things, and I just knew. I'm like, that'll never work. It will never work. But his concept was, I guess he'd done something similar up here with some of his restaurants. So there's a company called bargameshowproductions.com, which is based here in the Valley, that does trivia nights, all sorts of different trivia nights. Everything from like real trivia to Family Feud style trivia to music trivia, movie trivia. They kind of supply a whole wide range of different bar trivia games. The one that Marcus chose for Sierra Vista was a Family Feud style trivia, which means you don't need to be a Jeopardy champ to kind of win it. You don't need to be a guy who sits there and watches Jeopardy and goes, what is, I have no idea.
Where no one knows what the answers are.
No, nobody knows. Not at all. Yeah. And so for Family Feud, though, it's like, okay, well, what name something that goes good with milk. Okay, there's cereal, there's cookies, and you can kind of think of stuff like that. And so I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. That's interesting because it can be open for everybody.
Exactly.
It's not just going to be a trivia night for the smart people, the intellectuals, the brainiacs, the doctorates.
Yep.
It can just be the average dumb radio guy can go and play this trivia night game. And so once he kind of laid it out, I was still under the mindset of, I'll help you get it off the ground, and that's it. Help you get it off the ground, that's it. Wednesday, November 4th, 2015, the very first Wednesday in November, Native Game Night was born. And they had all I did was show up and read, basically. They sent me the questions. Yeah. And I didn't even know what to do. And they had the sound equipment there. To me, there's a difference between an MC and a DJ. I'm an MC. Okay. I show up, the mic is already there, everything is all set, everything is good to go. A DJ, well, he brings his equipment or her equipment, they bring their equipment and they set it up and they have their lights and they have their music and they have their microphones and stuff. That's a DJ. I'm an MC. I show up, everything is there, all I do is get on the mic and I run the show. Yep. They had everything there. Everything was right there. Microphone, amps, speakers. It was all there. The very first Wednesday in November of 2015. 4 teams played. Three teams were from one table. So it was like, there was nobody there. I looked around this restaurant and I'm going, I know this won't last. I've got to get out. I've got to get out. This is, and we didn't know, Leah came with me and we figured out, okay, well, Leah will be there to keep score. We'll just use this as a date night. It's actually turned into a work, almost as, it's a business, it's a side business now, but I mean, it's not a full-time business, but it kind of is with social media. But looking at what we were doing, she comes, she keeps score, and then I ask the questions, and then we go home and go to bed. And it's like I don't know what else to really do with this. I sat there that first Wednesday night. I just looked around, and there's barely anybody there. I'm on the microphone talking, and I was on the microphone actually talking to the crowd. I turned around to talk to the crowd to try to engage them, because as an MC, that's what you always engage the crowd. Yeah. I mean, you're always seeing eyeballs. I learned that I would go on to fix that. But before then, Wednesday, November 4th, 2015, I get home that night. I send Marcus I get my phone out. I send Marcus an email. I said, Marcus, this was a lot of fun. And I think it could be really, really great with someone else hosting it. Because I think you need a DJ, not an MC. I think you need a DJ with the music, with the bells, with the whistles, with the lights, with the. Yeah. I think that's what you need. I think you need a DJ. And here's the name. I gave him the name and number of somebody that I knew who had a gig at another restaurant in town, and I thought, you call him up, and he'll take care of you. I get a call from Marcus, a frantic call from Marcus on Tuesday, November 10th, 2015.
A week later.
Which is the day before Wednesday, November 11th. Now, November 11th is Veterans Day.
Yeah.
Most restaurants in Sierra Vista's very patriotic community. A lot of restaurants up here, they'll do something for the veterans on Veterans Day. Even the big chains, the big chain restaurants, they'll have a menu. Hey, free for veterans. You bring your ID card, your active duty veteran. The meal is on us. And Marcus, it was their first Veterans Day, and it happened to fall on a Wednesday. And Marcus called me frantically on that Tuesday the 10th, and he said, Jeff, I've tried to call this guy, but he's not calling me back. Can you do us a favor and just host it one more week? We're going to have a crowd. There will be people there because it's Veterans Day and it's our first one and we're giving away free meals. And I said, all right, I looked at Leah and I said, okay, let's help him out one more time. And so we go there, larger crowd. I'm on the microphone talking to people. I'm turning around, facing them, the table's behind me, and nobody's paying attention. I'm like getting in people's way. The microphone cord is coming out as I'm trying to like walk over to the tables and talk to people, entertain them. And people are almost tripping over the cord, like people with food and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a disaster. I don't know what I'm doing, Dustin. I have no idea. And because I had never been to a trivia night before. I'd never experienced a trivia night.
Yeah. Like, so what it's supposed to look
exactly. I didn't even know. And so that's why back in October when Marcus is telling me about this, I'm like, I have no idea what that means. Yeah, I don't know what a trivia night is. I don't know how they work. I've never been to one. This town doesn't have those. I don't know. I'm not sure what it would even look like, taste like, smell like, touch. Yep. I have no idea. And so we're just kind of making it up. And I'm like, okay, well, I can do things on the fly. I can roll with the punches and just kind of see how it goes. We end up finishing that, for some reason, Wednesday, November 11th, 2015. Leah and I get in the car and we drive home that night. And as we're on our way home, for some reason, something clicks inside of me. And the first thing is, I think I can make this work if I treat it like a radio show. Like I'm just a radio guy. I'm not engaging the audience with my eyes and with I can't engage them with an expression that they'll hear through the sound system, but I don't need to see them. If I could make this like a theater of the mind experience,
that'd be cool.
Where they're just hearing me. I'm not even focused on them. I'm focused on me. I'm focused on a performance and focused on however we're going to make this thing up as we go along. I think I can make it work. And Leah said, well, I have a question for you. I said, what's that? How much are you going to charge to do this? And I was like, that's a good question, And so I ended up texting Marcus or emailing Marcus that night. A week later, on Wednesday, November 11th, 2015, I text him or email him and I said, Marcus, you know what? I think I can make this work. I don't know if I'm the right guy to do this, but if I need bells, if I need whistles, if I need lights, if I need music, if I need those crutches, I'm not the entertainer that I think I am.
Yeah.
And so this is almost like a personal challenge to me as an entertainer to really take this on and head this thing up with just the power of my voice and using that as my instrument in order to captivate people and get their attention and create something out of nothing. That's the fun part about obviously being an ad agency. You get to really create something out of nothing. And it's they don't exist. We breathe them into existence. As a radio guy, I get to create radio commercials, theater of the mind. Again, theater of the mind. I get to create and produce something that was not there before. I love that aspect about what we do as individuals who help businesses succeed and help them with their branding, help them with their ideas.
Exactly.
They rely on us. They need us. And so to create something out of nothing, it's always turned me on. It's just there's something that puts the hamster on the wheel and gets it spinning, gets it running, and I'm all on board. Just get me on that train. I'm there. So creating something out of nothing and having that moment and figuring out, as I'm emailing Marcus that night on Veterans Day 2015, I'm emailing him. I say, Marcus, I would like, I'm happy to do this for you, but I would like this much a month. I could have said, actually a week is what I said, because we were going to do this every single Wednesday night. So I said, I want to do this much a week. And I totally understand if that's out of your price range. I understand if that's not what you think will work. And then I'll because I did these first 2 weeks for free.
Yeah.
I didn't even charge a man. Didn't even.
Yeah.
I was just doing it out of the goodness of my heart because I wasn't going to do this thing forever. I know it's not going to last
Yeah.
anyway. So since it's not going to last anyway, you're going to make it worth my time, and
Yep.
you're going to make it worth my while. So you're going to do it up here, and it's not six figures. It's a car payment a month, and that was how we looked at it
Yeah.
back then. And but I'm walking out with a check in hand every week up here. And if you say no, that's fine. We'll find somebody else. And if that's too much, I'm sure you can find
Yeah.
someone else who's more reasonable. I get an email back like 5 minutes later. He's like, done deal.
Should have asked for more.
Leah thought it was going to be too much. What I asked for was already too much. And I looked at Leah, I turned to her and I said, babe, we are going to be doing this the rest of our lives. And again, I had no idea what it would turn into. And slowly but surely, within less than 3 months, a little article came out in this thing called the Sierra Vista Herald.
Okay.
And we'll show up the hard copy or the PDF copy of this thing on the screen. But what happened was they were doing an interview. It was Saturday, January 30th, 2016. So we started November 4th. So this is less than 3 months later into this trivia night that nobody had ever heard of or nobody had ever done. The local newspaper came by and was doing an article on us to talk about this thing because there was already some buzz being picked up about it. And there's a funny story about this couple right here that... I'll get to that, but just remember their faces.
Okay.
And because when you do this for as long as we have, we've seen couples have kids, we've seen families grow, we've seen people move,
cool.
We've seen people come. Sierra Vista is a very transient community, so there's a lot of military people who come through just to do the training for 8 months, a year, and then they're gone. But while they're there, they want to ingrain themselves in the community and they find some place to go. And we've gotten to meet some incredible people over the course of the 5 years. So less than 3 months into this Native Game Night excursion. We're already getting exactly, just an idea. And we're already getting local publicity. Now I know that this is called a newspaper. You might not know this. I know you're more I know you guys are all digital here. You're very digital, Andre. And this is a paper that has news. Just so you know. I mean, I know you're not familiar with these things, but that's why this thing is from 2016. It looked fresh at one point in time.
It still looked pretty good. I mean,
it
really
does.
good.
I guess I keep it framed. Because I have every. No, I don't. I do keep that at my office actually, and to show people. And so less than 3 months, we're rolling. We actually find a good groove, and we figure out. We kind of figure out how to make this thing work. We'll do 12 questions a week. And I don't know how I came up with that. I think because 12 questions at the time with, 5 to 10 teams playing, it's like, we get through that pretty easily. Now, we have 30 to 40. Our record is 57 teams one night. This is just before COVID, but maybe the summer before COVID hit. I mean, it was just packed. And there would be, I think we averaged well over 40 teams for like the whole year of 2019.
Wow.
It was insane. I mean, it's
That's
insane. You cannot imagine how crazy it is. And they just kept packing in the tables, packing in the, again, pre-COVID. And they bring in all the chairs and tables from the patio area, pull them all in so that way everybody could be there to listen to this thing. And it's slow. It was a grassroots thing. It really kind of was. And word of mouth. And I had no social media. I had zero social media. I didn't even have Facebook. I did not have anything. 2 years later, and we would take pictures, and I would send. That was the frustrating part was with Native Grill and Wings, the local one, and trying to get them to, hey, you guys need to promote. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Come on. Do you want this thing to work or not?
It's banking.
And so what I would do is we'd take photos with the winning teams, like we're doing here. They're holding up their little certificate, and then I would send them to Native for them to post on their Facebook page, for the Sierra Vista Native Facebook page. And very rarely would they. And just got to the point where it's like, well, we're not posting anything else, and we don't want to make it all about the trivia night. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? How dare you? It's not my fault that you have nothing to post except for my stuff. Come on, get with this. And slowly but surely, they started to do a little bit. And it wasn't long before what happened was, so again, 3 months into this thing, Marcus told me Wednesday is the worst night of the week in the restaurant industry. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I said, okay, so what you're telling me is, when I translated that as an advertising guy, a marketing guy, I said, so what you're telling me is, if I make Wednesday your 4th worst night of the week instead of your 5th, I'm a hero.
Yep.
That's what that means. And he said, and he's like, basically, yeah. I was like, okay, cool. So if I just make it the 4th worst night of the week instead of the 5th worst weeknight, I'm a hero. What happened was, in less than 3 months, Wednesday was their 3rd best night of the week.
Wow.
It was Friday, Saturday, Wednesday. And in 3 months.
That is amazing.
And the cool part was, again, the groundswell started, everything started coming up. And for some reason, this was a couple years ago, I was on Google and I just Googled Native Grill and Wings Sierra Vista. And I didn't notice this, but on the side, they actually have metrics of the wait times on the side. You can see where the highest wait times are. This was, I think it was about 2 years ago at this point. And I was like, I wonder what Wednesday night looks like. Believe it or not.
The graphs were just extremely
Believe
high.
it or not, the highest peak of the week, not Friday, not Saturday. The highest peaks, according to Google's own analytics, was Wednesday night from 6 to 8 p.m. The highest peaks, because you can click over and see Friday and see Saturday, and then you click back over and see Wednesdays. Wednesdays was just a little bit higher. Fridays, Saturdays, and then Wednesdays. And I'm going, this is the craziest thing ever. That this thing
that is so cool.
that it's doing this. That it's creating a community, creating the Native Game Night universe, and seeing what happened eventually. I knew something needed to change at some point in time. I know you have questions for me. I'm sorry. I'm kind of dominating this whole thing. I'm just telling you. It's just a big story. It's a ridiculous story. So again, we start this thing in November of 2015. I have 0 social media. I don't know. I don't want it. It just seems like a headache to me to do it. And Leah's laughing over there right now, thinking, "Oh yeah, you thought that then, sure, buddy." and so I thought, okay. A friend of mine, she came over to my office and we were talking, and she's like, with this trivia night, it's becoming a really big thing. Yeah. And I said, well, yeah, of course, I'm a big deal. And she goes, have you thought about doing social media? And I was like, I did Facebook like back in 2008, and it was the worst experience. I literally killed my Facebook page. I had to Google how to kill my Facebook page, and I did.
They make it hard.
They do, but I did, and I had literally zero Facebook, 0 social media. And she asks me in September of 2017, almost 2 years after the trivia night starts, because she explained to me, she said, you got these guys and girls who are up on post at Fort Huachuca who are there, they're coming to this thing, and then you lose touch with them, or you can't keep in touch with them throughout the week, and you can't remind them, and you can't, keep in touch with them. And I'm like, so social media does that? I had no idea. I'm like, what are you talking about? Don't I just need to get their phone numbers? That's all I need to do is just have every single person's phone number, whoever comes to the trivia night. And she said, no. If you get Facebook, and she said that magic word that was like a curse word to me. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not doing Facebook. I'm just not going to do it. And she said 3 words that I'll never forget. She said, what about Instagram? And I had 3 words back to her. What is Instagram? I had no idea. I'm like, I've heard of that. I think, isn't that what the cool kids use? I'm probably too old. I'm probably too old to use the gram. I think is that what they still call it? I don't even know. And this is in September of 2017. We're sitting in my office, and she goes, yeah. Instagram is a cool thing. It's for creators. Instagram, was built on travel and food, but it's a healthier place than Facebook as far as social media. It was at the time. I mean, everything kind of changes, and it can be negative. I mean, it can be a negative space, but for what it's meant for, I was hooked on one condition. I said, all right, as long as it's at the handle at Native Game Night. All one word. I do not want dots. I do not want dashes. I do not want parentheses. I do not want semicolon. It's got to be all one word if it's available. She grabs her phone. She types it in. She looks at me. She smiles and says, it's available. I said, all right, here's my phone. Take my phone, start it, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it. And all of a sudden, I thought, you know what? This could be a fun, creative outlet. We're creative. The fun part is we can be creative. Again, creating something from nothing. Yep. That is a turn on. That is something that I get energized by doing. Yeah. Just like you do, just like the whole team here does. They're able to literally take videos and pictures and make it all something really, really amazing. And so having this social media channel, Native Game Night, with my intellectual property. Native, I didn't come up with Native, but Native Game Night, that's my intellectual property. That's my brand, in essence. And so how am I going to market my brand? Well, the interesting thing is, This is September of 2017. In October of 2017, my wife and I are Cardinal season ticket holders for 7 years. And in October of 2017, there was a game in London, the Cardinals versus the Rams in London. Very infamous game because the Cardinals just totally bombed that game. It was just awful. But at Twickenham Stadium, Leah said, "Let's just go. And if we go to London, can we go to Paris?" Yeah, sure. Let's just go. We'll go to Paris. Yep. And if we go to Paris, can I go back to Germany where I grew up when I was a kid, and living overseas for a few years? I'd like to see my old apartments and stuff that I lived in, and see the baseball fields where I would hit home runs and stuff. And it's like, that would be really cool. So we worked out this whole trip, and it just happened at the right time because I started this Instagram. 0 followers. I'm actually one of my other than my friend who helped me. She was my first follower. And then like early on, like one of my top 5 followers or whatever that came along, first 5 followers, was Native Grill and Wings corporate. And I'm like, wow, look at me. I'm getting followed by them. And then all of a sudden, when we get back from our trip, they said, "Hey, we want to talk to you about your Instagram." I'll get to that in just a second. But what happened was I had this idea of, because these silly certificates, these novelty check size certificates that the teams end up winning, it looked a little bit different. This is the 2.0 certificate. There was a 1.0 certificate, it was a black and white and had a different design on it. My idea was, cool. Well, we're going overseas. What I'll do is I'll take the certificate with me, and I'll take it in front of famous places, in front of famous things. I'll take the certificate, take a picture in front of London Bridge, in front of the Arc de Triomphe, in front of the Mona Lisa. And so, and that'll be something funny where I can go we can anywhere we go, we take one of these with us, and we'll just do silly things, and that'll be my post every week to remind people to come to trivia night. Is they get to see the certificate. Where's the certificate gonna be this week? And little did I know at the time that was actually really funny. Once we got back from that trip, and I was starting to post some of those photos, people at the restaurant who were there to play would come up to me and say, "Jeff, I'm heading to Ireland next month. Can I have a certificate and take it with me, and I'll take a photo?" And I was like, this just got good. This just got good. My brand is being carried literally in people's suitcases, in their carry-ons, all around the world, so they can go do the work for me. They DM me their certificate photos in front of whatever, and then I get to use them and then credit them in the post and do that. And so we get back. That kind of started after we got back from the trip, and we get back from the trip, and Native Grill and Wings corporate off of Chandler Road here in the Valley call me up, and they say, "Jeff, we want to talk to you about the Instagram." And I'm like, oh man, just when it's a new creative opportunity, I'm like, don't you dare take this away from me. Please, please, please don't take it away from me. Because I didn't know, because this is their brand too, you know what I mean? And it's not like I would be posting anything. I remember the old Michael Jordan phrase, it's like, "Hey, Republicans want to buy sneakers too." It's like, it doesn't matter. Everybody wants to play a trivia night. I don't care. I don't care your political persuasion. I don't care race, color, creed. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I want you to have a good time on a Wednesday night. That's all I care about. I care about you as a person because I want you to have fun and I want you to have a good time. And so I'm not going to do anything, put up anything offensive or anything like that with their brand. Because it is their brand. And my brand, we're kind of
commingled,
collaborating. So it is. It is definitely a commingled thing. And so I get on the phone with them. I do a conference call with them, and basically the first thing it says, "Hey, we love your Instagram." And I'm like, oh that's
off to a good start.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And so and I'm like, okay, this is cool. You like the Instagram? They said, "Hey, just one thing." And I'm like, oh no, here we go. The only thing they asked me to do was, in the bio of the Instagram, just put "not an official page of Native Grill and Wings."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
easy peasy.
I think I can do that. I think I can make that happen. And I'm like, is that all? Like, oh, one more thing. Waiting for the one more thing before I hang up. And it never happened. And while Native Grill and Wings corporate maybe hasn't been as the corporate office. I mean, obviously the local one has been fantastic all these years.
Oh yeah.
The corporate office, I think they've been a little late to the game as far as seeing what this could do at all of their franchises. I hope one of your questions to me is going to be, what are your plans for the future of this thing? Where do you see it going? Because I've already thought it out. I've watched every single episode, Dustin. I've watched them all. And I know the questions you're going to ask me. I've prepared for this all night long. I didn't sleep last night. I'm going on Red Bull and Starbucks all at once. But I once they said, hey, all you need to do is put not an official page of Native Grill and Wings. I'm like, good to go. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
And then when all these people start coming to me and saying, hey, can you give me a certificate to go wherever? I'm going here. I'm going there. This certificate has been on 6 continents.
Wow, really?
Point. The only one we're missing is Antarctica.
When are you going there?
I know, exactly. I'm trying to follow all these scientists who go down there to do research, just to take a picture right in front of a penguin or something. I don't know. It's been on Iceland. It's been on Australia. I mean, it's been everywhere around the world you could possibly think of. This, not this exact one, but I mean, the certificate has been, and we're going to show you some of the photos from the most amazing places. People just going to San Diego to SeaWorld. I got Shamu coming up out of the water. These people take amazing photos with the certificate in front of it. It cracks me up to legit professional photographers who are friends of mine have taken the certificate on their trips to Mount Rushmore, to San Francisco. One that was over in Germany has been to Hungary and to Poland. And I've had legit verified Instagram friends, blue checkmark verified, who have these and take them with them. And I'm so humbled and I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful for their help and their support, because Instagram, it just makes me smile. It makes me happy.
Isn't it great?
For me, it was a place, again, of creativity.
Yeah.
And it's like this creativity here, being able to just take a stupid certificate, a $10 certificate. and people tell me all the time, every week, they're like, I want to come in first place. And we actually give the certificates go out, and we don't. The restaurant does. The restaurant does everything. All I do is show up and read. Leah does the hardest part. She has to keep score. She got 50 teams to keep track of.
Tough.
I just sit there and talk and laugh and make people laugh and have a good time.
Yeah.
But instead, she's the one who does all the hard work. But it's not just, and that was one thing Marcus wanted to do from the very beginning. It's not just one team that wins. We're going to give it to the top 3 teams. We're going to give these $10 certificates. So to me, the restaurant was very involved in the success of this, and they wanted it to be successful. And they made all the right moves. First of all, by hiring. The guy who wanted nothing to do with it. I wanted nothing to do with it. That's just the craziest part. And so, you start the Instagram in 2017. Again, slowly, it just starts building. That's how I meet Melissa. That's how I meet Lexi. And eventually, because of this podcast, I end up meeting Eric and meeting David and Clay. And it's like, this is so cool, meeting these guys and seeing what they're doing with their creativity and all the things that they're able to do. They just blow me away with the things that they are able to do through Instagram. There's so much that I still have left to learn. I mean...
I think everyone does. Always will.
I think so. And that's the hard part. It's like, gosh, it's just old dog, new tricks, tough. They're very, very tough. Sometimes I feel like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm cool enough to do it. And then there's grandmas on TikTok, for crying out loud, who have 1 billion followers. And I'm like, well, I guess I got to learn that too eventually. I don't know. I need you guys to teach me. I'll pay you guys. Andre, you'll help me do that, right? Yeah, okay. All right. As long as you help me. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And so you just see the evolution of things. In Sierra Vista being a retirement area, predominantly retirement area, a lot of military retirees move back to Sierra Vista. A lot of them are not on Instagram. So in 2000, when was it? It was 2000, had to be 2019. I think one of my friends, actually 2 of my Insta friends who really they were influencers, one of which the blue checkmark verified, Henry Doe, amazing drone photographer, one of my close friends. He said, Jeff, here's what you need to do. I wanted to ask the professionals, how do you handle this? And what should I do? What can I do differently? And he said, your content's great. The stuff you're doing it's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's fun to promote the trivia night. And then you post the pictures of the winning team. So literally it's certificate. Where in the world is the certificate? Next photo is winning teams that week. Swipe. Okay, cool. Next photo. Where is the certificate this week? Who did that? Oh, that's funny. Wow, it's in Sedona. Wow, it's in, even places around Arizona. You have some amazing places around here to take a silly certificate. Yeah. But what Henry and Katie Breyer both recommended to me, again, another photographer, influencer, she and he both said, you need to turn your Instagram to a business account. I was like, That sounds easy enough. I think I might be able to, can you walk me through? Please walk me through because I don't know. I'm not sure how to do this. I think I could try. And so they show me how to do it. And little did I know, to have a to have an Instagram business account, you have to have a Facebook business account.
Yep.
And to have a Facebook business account, you have to have a Facebook personal account. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I don't want to rise, grind, repeat that hard. I mean, this is ridiculous. I got to get 2 accounts for Facebook to turn
just to have
a business Instagram account. Are you kidding me? And so I did that. And the funny thing was, because of the demographic that Sierra Vista is, by getting Facebook, I was able to reach a whole new audience of people that I was not reaching through Instagram. Even though I think everybody who has a Facebook has an Instagram, but they don't know it. In a lot of cases, I think that's kind of how it works now that they're together. But I was able to just repost and kind of do things differently. So I had the Native Game Night Instagram, Native Game Night Facebook, and then the Jeff Davenport Facebook, and just kind of working them all together. And then maybe posting some personal stuff on the Jeff Davenport Facebook page, but keeping Native Game Night Facebook and Native Game Night Instagram, just about the trivia night and stuff going on there. And that way, at least people who are following it just for that, they're like, well, who cares about you? No, I care about seeing these teams and seeing where the stupid certificate is. It's like, okay, that's fine. I'll try not to take it too personally. But having that window open, again, another door of opportunity. Who would have thought? A human biology graduate from Grand Canyon University decides to get into radio, and 22 years later has been hosting this trivia night for 5.5 years that came out of nowhere. The opportunities that I've had, I live a serendipitous, surreal life, and you hang out with me for about 5 minutes, you'll see, this is just like scratching the surface of like one aspect of the things that I deal with. But I'm very proud of what the trivia night's become, and knowing that it is a brand that has thousands of followers between those platforms, the Facebook and the Instagram, and watching it for some reason continue to grow is so far beyond anything that I could have thought. Yeah. Because again, I went without it for 2 years. This thing was success. We were already in the Sierra Vista Herald. We were big time. We were big time people.
3 months later.
In the Sierra Vista Herald within 3 months. I didn't have Instagram or social media for almost 2 years.
Wow.
With the first 2 years of this. And I look back and I regret it to the point where, man, I lost touch with so many people because they were coming in for Fort Huachuca to do some training for 8 months. They were there every single week for 8 months. And then they came up and said, hey man, it's our last week. Oh, give me a hug, man. Yeah. God bless you guys. Safe travels. And hopefully we'll see you again someday. And that's it.
Yeah.
There was no way to keep in touch with them. And I always keep my fingers crossed that someday they'll be on their Instagram and they'll see a hashtag Native Game Night or Native Game Night. What?
Yeah,
and then they'll find me and do that. I don't think that's happened just yet. But I'm, because I'm out there on Facebook as well, maybe those connections will be reestablished. But being able to go from just a radio guy to an MC to a game show host and looking beyond, trying to see what the next step is, as I continue to rise, grind, repeat through this journey on a side hustle. That's all it is.
Yeah.
This is not my day job. That's
cool.
That's the crazy part about this. Your podcast and YouTube channel is for Valley-based entrepreneurs. Neither Valley-based, neither an entrepreneur, but you had me here, and I cannot thank you enough for the opportunity just to share the story about this crazy trivia night that has seen thousands of people be a part of over the course of 5.5 years, every single Wednesday night. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, okay, every single Wednesday night, really, Jeff, really? In 5.5 years, we have only missed 2 Wednesdays.
Wow.
We've been doing this. Remember the game that Kurt Warner threw more touchdowns than he had incompletions?
Yeah.
We've been doing this more years than weeks I've missed. It's almost the same concept. And the only reason we missed those 2 weeks was because we were overseas. We went overseas on that trip to go see the Cardinals, and then in 2019 we went to Italy and did a week and a half there. In Italy, 10 days, and so we had to miss a Wednesday night, and we had somebody fill in for us while we were gone, and then we come back the next week, and all the servers are going, thank God you're back. Oh, it was terrible last week. It was so awful. And, it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
But it's like, wow, job security, kind of on a side hustle. A side hustle. This is not my day job. Even though I do treat it like it. I love That's the one thing I love about social media, is being able to see what other people are up to and what their lives are doing, and be able to interact with them, not just on Wednesday nights, but throughout the week, and to be a part of their life, make them smile. I have people who DM me or comment on the stuff every week saying, every time you post something, I always wonder, it's Tuesday, you're posting on Tuesday, where's the certificate? I'm wondering where's the certificate going to be? It just makes me smile.
That's cool.
And there's a couple of people who send that to me. And what happened, this is kind of an interesting twist happened in the restaurant industry. You might have heard about this thing. It's called COVID.
I was going to ask about how have you guys done since COVID kind of crept into?
So what happened was everything shut down March 2020. In Arizona, we were, for those of you who are watching this, maybe in other parts of the country or around the world, Arizona was kind of one of the later ones to really shut down. Things got locked down on the East Coast pretty quickly in February, and it took a little bit longer, just like everything does, to come west. And it took a little while longer before Arizona shut down, and the restaurants were takeout only, no dine-in. And that happened in Sierra Vista in mid-March 2020. And so we had a choice. We're like, okay, what can we do? Because again, it goes back to every single week, really, every Wednesday night. I can say yes. What we did was we'd never, even though at that point we'd had the Instagram and the Facebooks, we'd had those channels, we were never live from the restaurant. It was always just used to promote the restaurant for people to come, because I want people to come to the restaurant. You know, if they're watching it live, that means they're not paying for the food. They're not coming here. And I want them to enjoy this. I want them to enjoy it here, to get the full experience. Because when you're watching it on a stagnant iPad, very sterile one shot, we don't have the cool 3-camera setup. It's just literally the iPad that has Facebook, my phone that has Instagram. It's very sterile. So we didn't go live until COVID hit, restaurants shut down. I come up with this idea. I look at Leah. I was like, I have an idea. And she goes, oh, no, please. Please don't have an idea. And I said, here's what I think we can do. What we can do is we'll vet everybody, but this is my idea. We'll take winning teams who have won a certificate. We will bring them over to our house to play against me. I will not be the host or facilitator. I will be a player. For the first time in the history of Native Game Night, I'll be a player. You, I point at Leah, you will be the host. You will see the questions. You will get the questions. You will pick the questions. And then I will play against them. We'll sit around our dining room table. I'll pick up some native. I'll pick up some pizza, pick up some wings. I'll pay for it out of my own pocket, because they're not paying me to do this while I'm at my home, you know, and they're only paying me when I'm there at the restaurant. But I still wanted to support them. Hey, they've supported me for years. And they, car payment a month, man. They've been very consistent, and I can't thank them enough for the opportunity. And I'd like to think I've helped them out too. But I know I have. Google Analytics. And so the idea was, okay, we'll have a former previous Native Game Night champion come and play against me from my dining room table. We're going to be at my dining room table. We're going to hang out, have some pizza, and we're going to go live on Facebook and Instagram at 6:30 p.m., just like we do every single Wednesday night. And so promoting that, it took it to a different level, a different concept, because everybody was stuck at home. Everyone was at home. And since at that point I had thousands of followers and they're going, man, well, we're not going to get to do Native Game Night. And yet they were, because we went live. And so Leah would ask we'd have the people over, they'd get there, between 5:45 and 6 o'clock, we'd eat, and then just, set up right around. Not a cool setup like this. I mean, we didn't have the bookcases and and all these fake books here. They're not even real books, people. Can you believe? No, I'm kidding. They're real. It's not even a real basketball. It's a cardboard cutout.
Exactly.
Just kidding. They did a really nice job here. I wish there was obviously a sale at Wayfair, a very nice sale at Wayfair.com. And so we just set it up right around the dining room table. They would bring over dessert, so we'd have the dessert sitting there, and I'd be popping the desserts like grapes as I'm sitting there playing the game as a player. The gimmick was, and I knew this, they didn't know this, I knew this, I had to lose every single week. So my job was not to come up with the 5-point answer. I had to come up with the 4-point answer. I had to make it look like I wasn't throwing the game. And I know you people are watching this going, Jeff, we know you were not that smart. We know how silly you are. It's like, yes, I know. But so, because I wanted the championship team to beat me. We did that the first week. By the time we hung up on Facebook and Instagram, there were hundreds of people
That's
watching.
cool.
It was insane. I had no idea that it would be that big of a hit because people were interacting and they were commenting, live comments as we were doing this. And so like, well, what do you guys think the answer is? And they're typing in their comments or typing in the things and they're coming, okay, that's a good idea. You know, and then, you know, they're on the other side of the table. My opponents are on the other side of the table, previous champions. and it was just such a fun way to interact. We did that week 1, week 2, week 3. We did that for a total of 9 weeks from my dining room table over 2 months. And different people every time, different couples, different families would come over. We actually did one via Zoom. It didn't work out as well as I thought it would because they were a big team. But they're always there and I wanted them to be involved. But it was just like, I don't want to have that big, I don't want to get, we're live on Facebook. I don't want to get yelled at then. Oh, how dare you have all those people over there at your house. And this is dangerous because it's dangerous time. We don't know what's going on in March and April and May of 2020. We don't know what's happening. We don't know the full scope of this thing. And so, but everybody else, you know, was a couple and we're like, hey, we've been safe. We've tested negative. Everything's fine. You know, we haven't been exposed. And so we just had to do a little trust with them as well, just as they did with us. They came over to our house 9 straight weeks. And then finally the restaurant reopened. And I did a whole promo package, you know, I took some footage of me slow motion walking with the restaurant there. And I was like, I had my sunglasses on. I did a little, you know, the people's eyebrow thing and, you know, and had like, you know, AC/DC's Back in Black, you know, playing and stuff. And the whole thing, or P. Diddy's Coming Home. I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. Yeah. I mean, I really tried to pump this thing up because I knew that even though the restaurants were reopening, doesn't mean that everybody's going to come back. And it's not going to look the same. The tables are going to be a lot spread much further apart. There's going to be a lot of space in between people, as there should be. There needed to be, and to a certain degree, I think there still does. And we're very fortunate. Leah and I, we talk about this that Native took it seriously. You know, they really took this thing seriously. And even to this day, as of the day that this is being recorded, they're still operating at the limited capacity with every other booth, you know, and tables spread apart. And we're grateful for that. You know, we're grateful that people can come. The sad part is during that time, since the reopening, since mid-May of 2020, when things got reopened, we've seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people turned away at the door because there's just no room.
Really?
Well, there's no room because the capacity fills up quickly, and you feel bad because people are walking in going, well, there's a booth right there, and they're like, I'm sorry, you know, you can't be seated there. And they moved us. We used to be in the center of the restaurant where the way this restaurant's set up, there's like I call it like a dining room side and a bar side, but the bar has all the tables around it too, and some half booth tables, and then the dining side has booths on the side and then tables in the center. They moved us from that location to literally the front door. We're at the front door now. And that way we're out of the way. We're safe. They're safe. Everybody's safe. I still wear my mask walking around to pick stuff up. Yeah, I still want to take this thing seriously and let people know that, hey, we want to be safe and we want you to be safe. We want you to enjoy your time here.
Exactly.
If you're feeling good and you're okay with going out, if you're okay, we're okay. Come on, let's go. But what we decided to do was after the 9 weeks at home from doing it at our dining room table, for the people who aren't yet there, that just aren't comfortable yet to come back out, we're going to go live on Facebook, live on Instagram every single Wednesday night. So you can still play along with us. If you'd like to help out Native, get it to go, get a DoorDash or do a Uber Eats or Grubhub or something like that, come by or just do a takeout and go home and eat that there or whatever. Go eat whatever. As long as you're watching me, that's all that matters. No. But I wanted to give them that opportunity even after the fact. So in the post-COVID world where some people, you know what, home is still safe and home is your office. Home has become your everything. There's no place like it. I understand that. But you can still interact. And we want to interact with you. We want you. And there's people who play along every single week. They're like, oh, it's my favorite time of week. You know, they're typing in on their computer, on their phone or whatever, as they're watching along on their little teeny tiny screen. And then they'll take what happened was, this was kind of cool. Since the reopening and being live on those social media platforms, people put me up on their TV screens, and then they'll take a picture on their phone, and then they'll tweet it out or
Isn't that
post
cool
it.
to see?
Oh, it's the craziest thing. I'm like, wow, the guy with the face for radio is now a TV star. They said video killed the radio
you,
star.
COVID.
I think they're right. I think video killed the radio star, but because I'm on somebody's TV at their house every single week because they're playing Native Game Night, and that's the what this has become in the post-COVID world. And looking at it nowadays, it's exciting. It's exciting to see and to have it still growing and to meet more people and to have an opportunity like this to come and talk to you about a side hustle. I'm a radio guy. I'm just a dumb radio guy who said no problem.
Yeah. I think that you are, I mean, you mentioned a couple times that, the show's for entrepreneurs in the Valley. I mean, granted, you might not be in the Valley, but I think you are an entrepreneur. I don't think an entrepreneur is a job title. I think everyone thinks you have to run a business to be an entrepreneur.
I do. I look at it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you're right.
But I think people can be internal entrepreneurs within a business. I mean, to me, if you're solving problems that's moving a business going forward, I think you're an entrepreneur. You don't need to be the owner or founder or whatever it may be to be that entrepreneur. But you look, we had COVID. How are we going to keep this thing going? We're going to make something happen, going to figure it out. You're solving problems that's impacting other people's lives. And that right there, to me, is the definition of an entrepreneur. A lot more than I own a business or I own the restaurant or you own an idea that turned into a reality that brings happiness to people, that solves a problem. And to me, that is the best type of entrepreneur that there is. I think it's huge.
That's very high praise. I mean, because again, I didn't look at it that way, but yeah, when you put it that way, I am an entrepreneur. You're right, Dustin.
You are. Same.
Dustin, look at me.
No, I think you really are. I
gosh.
mean, because it's funny because someone mentioned that, talked to a marketing director or something at a pretty big company, but he said the same thing.
You can drop names here. Look, I've dropped plenty of names. It's all right.
They're called Supermetrics. They're more of a digital marketing tool or whatever. But he said the same thing. I'm not the owner. I'm not an entrepreneur. But after talking to him, it's seeing the problems that people would face as they use their platform and stuff like that. He'd have to think of different ways to solve those problems, to make it more accessible. He was basically making decisions that move the business a certain way. And to me, that's an internal entrepreneur. And I think that there are a lot more entrepreneurs than people even realize because of that.
Gosh. Yeah. Well, without a doubt. I mean, again, not everyone, for an entrepreneur, to me, in my mindset, it's like, yeah, that's your full-time job, but it doesn't have to be.
No.
And maybe that's the point, is that to have that entrepreneurial mindset, to have an idea for a stupid social media, a dumb Instagram that has to do with the silly ticket here, the silly gift certificate that ends up going on 6 continents. The 7th is waiting. So if anybody's watching this and you're in Antarctica, please help a brother out. Help me out here. I need help. Help a radio star out. And it's amazing to think about. Yeah, I've been able to help a brand. I wish the corporate brand would do a little bit more. One of your questions that I know you're going to ask me is, Jeff, what kind of challenges do you see, with this, the different challenges that you have going on? Well, thanks, Dustin. Thanks for asking me that. There's 2 kinds of challenges. There's an internal one and there's an external one. One that I can control, one that I can't. The internal challenge is looking at my Instagram followers, and then I see other people. I'm like, why don't I have 20,000 followers? Why don't I have that? Why don't I? I mean, I only have 1,500, and that's I'm so much more famous than that. And you look at that, it's like that's an internal problem that I have. That's like, I've just decided I'm going to be happy for everybody. I don't care if you have 1 follower. And you know what? If you're someone who's in my life and I'm going to invest time in you, I'm going to support you 1,000%. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be happy that you have 1 follower. I'm going to be happy that you're posting about your jewelry making business or whatever you got go. Your side hustle. This is my side hustle. I want to be happy with your side hustle, because most people's Instagram is about their side hustle.
Exactly.
It's not their main hustle. It's their photography business they do on the side. It's this that they do on the side. It's that they do on the side. Fun trip or fun whatever. And I want to be there to support that. That's the internal. The external, it comes from the corporate side, where it's like, I wish the corporate side would look at this and say, well, the best Wednesday night in our entire franchise-wide, the best Wednesday night is this little podunk Sierra Vista store. Why is that?
Yeah.
Why is that?
So has it not been presented to them, or because I mean, like you mentioned, it went from the worst night to the third best night, and I mean,
And
you're
now
looking
the
at,
first, and
So,
then ended up being the best.
how is that data not come up to the corporate level, and they go, why don't we test this at 3 more? Like, I mean, you don't have to go all in and test at every single
The
location.
good part
but-
was I ended up getting followed and DM'd. I got DM'd by someone else who owned a Native in the Tucson area, and I was like, this could be interesting, and actually went up and met with them and talked to them about what we do, and they came down and saw it live, and of course they're sitting at the bar looking around on a Wednesday night. They're going, what in the world is going on here? It's like a rock concert in here. It's insane. And this was pre-COVID again. It was actually just like 2 months. It was like the end of 2019, and for some reason things kind of fell through. But I'm glad that they did, because we would have been, oh, let's go gung ho. We're here in Tucson now, Native Game Night Tucson. Let's go. And then COVID hits and everything shuts down. It's like you'd be stopped before you even start. And so it's like, oh man, I was really crushed when it didn't work out. But then when COVID hit, I'm like, it would have had to stop. Yeah, exactly. So I have had interest from other franchise owners, not from the corporate office themselves, which I think I would love. Looking ahead, I would like to see two things, because I know your question. Now, Jeff, what you have going on here is, where do you see this going, in a couple years?
And not in a couple years, next 3 to 6 months or so.
Yeah. How do you see this? Exactly. This is why
you
you're the
listen,
one.
I love it.
And so there's two things. One is, now that life is hopefully getting back to normal. I've been vaccinated. My wife's been vaccinated. We're doing our part. We're trying to do our part to make sure that we can help get life back to normal. And I'd love the opportunity to present something like this. And in my mind, I see the success that this has had in our little town. At the same time, our little town has seen the success that the Trivia Night had. Many restaurants have tried it. Unfortunately, they've all kind of gone by the wayside. I've seen them all come. I've seen them all go. I'd like to think that I'm kind of the maybe glue that kind of sticks it all together. I don't know. I mean, I think it just takes someone with the right personality, with the right mindset to be able to entertain people. And again, when I was able that second week, when it clicked and I was able to do theater of the mind, I don't need to see them. All they need to do is hear my voice. If I cannot keep them on the edge of their seats just with the way that I enunciate and talk to them, I know that when I wake up on Thursday mornings and I don't have a voice, I did a great job. It's like, and I look at that for emceeing too. I'm a maniac when it comes to emceeing things. I just yell and scream and hoot and holler, have a good time. And when I wake up the next morning and I don't have a voice, I know I did a great job emceeing that event. And same way with Native on Wednesday nights, doing the trivia night there. I would love to see the corporation, come around and say, man, you know what? Let's do a couple more test markets for this and see if can you go. We're going to fly you out to this store. You go there and go talk to these people. Go find a radio guy who's hungry and wants to try to get a side hustle going or something. Because again, it would take the right person to do something like this. I think you have to have the right mindset. You have to have the creative,
the want and the energy to do it. I mean, just the passion.
Yeah, and the entrepreneurial mindset. To come up with, hey,
I mean,
I came up with a
you
silly
thought of
Instagram
how to market it. You figured out. I mean, you built a business around it. Essentially, I mean, it's a side, whatever you want to call it. You turned an idea into something that provided value for consumers, and you figured out how to grow it. That's running a business right there.
It really is, and so that's something that I would like to see. Maybe the corporate side come along and see what's going on. I did to one of their young executives at the time who's no longer there. I haven't done it, and she just left recently. So, so I know that there's a head honcho there on Chandler Road, and I might come knocking on that door and say, "Excuse me, I'm Jeff Davenport." And he'll say, "Who?" And I'll say, "Never mind." But the second thing, this is like a total dream scenario.
Yeah,
and I'm going all in on this one. This is like all the chips on this table, because I know that you are the one who can make this happen. You have the connections to make this happen. It's so silly. Have you ever seen the show Man vs. Food with Adam Richman?
Oh yeah.
It's one of my all-time favorite shows. And Adam Richman, what he would do is he would go to different towns. For those of you who never saw it before, Adam would go to different towns and he would go to different restaurants. And there would always be one restaurant at the end of the episode, 30 minutes. end of the episode, that's where the food challenge is. So he'd go to the food challenge at the end, man versus food. But in the meantime, the rest of the show was about him going to other restaurants and just highlighting different food, highlighting different restaurants, maybe people wouldn't know about in cities that people are familiar with that travel to all the time. They'd be like, oh my gosh, we were just there in Vegas. And I didn't know about that restaurant. We're going to go back there next time and go support that. And you have that idea. My concept is like man versus food, but with trivia nights. So, for instance, today our trivia travels take us to the Valley of the Sun, Phoenix, Arizona, that is known as a foodie paradise. There's a lot of great bars, a lot of great restaurants, which also means a lot of great trivia nights. And that's what we're going to check out on this episode of Whatever.
Yeah.
And so I would go around to different cities, and what the hitch for me is, because Adam Richmond was a restaurant guy, so he would go around to the restaurant owners. What I would do is I'd go around to the Instagram foodies and say, hey, we're meeting up with this foodie. She's going to take us to this restaurant, or they're going to take us to this restaurant. And that would be part of the episode would be going to that restaurant or that food truck. And then we'd go to this restaurant or that food truck. And then the last third restaurant that we'd go to is the one that has the trivia night. And I would play it. And so as a professional game show host, I would get to go and talk to the person who put the trivia night together, and then do a little mini interview with them. Hey, my trivia night has a crazy story how it started. I said I didn't want to do it. That's how mine started. And I said it was crazy. That'll never work. That will never work. That will never work.
Yeah.
But it ended up working. And so I would like to think that everybody's trivia night has a crazy story.
Yeah.
And so I would just do a quick interview with whoever the host is or facilitator at that trivia night, get an idea for their passion, their entrepreneurial spirit that they had when they put this thing together, when they invented this particular trivia night. How did it work for them? What kind of response have they seen? Do they have regulars?
Have you grown it?
Exactly. And I'd go around and talk to some people there, just like Adam Richmond would do on Man vs. Food, and they say, oh, I wouldn't eat that. That's great. It's like, and we talk to them. Oh, what about this trivia night here? What do you guys think about? Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. It's so cool. That guy over there, or the girl who does this thing, she's amazing. He's amazing. It is so much fun. And then the end of the episode is me playing the trivia night and seeing how I do at someone else's trivia night, and that's cool. that's kind of the hook. So that's the pie in the sky or dream beyond dream, to do a pilot or a YouTube channel series or something like that, to put together a trivia night TV show. In essence, YouTube channel that would, because I know TV is different now, but to put something together like that, and then just have fun with it, and hopefully the restaurants would be able to pay you a little bit to cover some production expenses or something like that. Let them know, hey, we're coming and we're gonna have this many views on it. We know that we've built it up. The production's gonna be really slick, really good. Yep. Have you seen Man vs. Food? We're trying to make it like that. And to me, that is the pinnacle of a great food show. Yeah. And that's what this would be. It would be about food and trivia. And maybe we want to find someone who doesn't have a face for radio to host it. I understand that. I don't think they do as good of a job as me, but no, I mean, we could find,
I think you'd be perfect for it.
I think it would be a lot of fun, and to do something like, so that's the dream that is just out of reach. That brass ring's a little bit too far away, because I don't have the right connections or know the right people, or even know how to get it started.
Reach out to Melissa and I.
I know. That's just it. I know. Melissa's awesome, and Lexi does some amazing things too with what she does. We just went to one of the restaurants that Lexi talked about yesterday, so had a good time there. So it's like, being able to interact with them and watch them. They have their own things. They would be the ones that I would go to, like on for my show. Yeah, I'd call up Melissa. Hey, Melissa, we're gonna hang out with you, and then you show us this restaurant here, or Lexi, we're gonna hang out with you in the next segment. We're gonna just piece it all together. You're the next segment. We go there, and then finally, another Insta foodie here in the Valley. You go find a trivia night, and then we'll go with you. You tell us about this restaurant, and then we'll go and make it. And really, that way, we're all promoting each other.
That's what I was gonna say. It's gonna grow their brand. It's gonna grow the restaurant brand. It's gonna grow the TV show. There's so many different things that are going to grow from that.
And it hurts my head to think about. I'm really, oh my gosh, why would I do this? Dustin,
it's
why?
a lot that goes into it, but I think it'd be a ton of fun. Why would I do
this? Why would you make me talk about this? Because now it has to, now that I've put it out there.
You have to do it.
I've never even written
No problem.
it down.
No problem.
Now I'm screwed. I'm so toast. I can see the eyes glaring at me right now going, don't do it, don't. But I think it'd be a heck of a lot of fun to put something like that together. So looking at the big picture, the dream, where we're going, maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe it is having the, the corporate native understand what this thing really is, what the power is behind it, and just go for it. And again, this is just side hustle. I mean, I'm a college athlete. I've been in a movie. I'm on IMDb, for crying out loud. I was in a movie.
Really
so
cool.
It's like my life is totally weird. It's totally weird. But this is.
But it's because you say yes to so much.
I think that's
you
it.
You create your own opportunities.
Again, when an opportunity comes my way, I'm almost afraid to say no, because I want people to like me so much. I'm so desperate for people to like me. There's an old John Mulaney joke, the stand-up comic John Mulaney, one of my favorite comics. He ended up saying that his wife and he have two very different personalities when they go out in public. And Leah and I were watching his monologue on SNL a couple years ago, and he said this joke: my wife and I have two different personalities. My wife, she likes to just go somewhere, get something, and be done. Me, I go there and I go, hey, that looks like an interesting person. I think I'll go talk to them. And I just start talking to random people. Or being in Sierra Vista, there's very few places I can go where I don't know someone. Even in Tucson now, there's very few places I can go where I don't run into somebody who recognizes me or knows me from something. And it's like, so I just start having a conversation. And I'm so desperate for people to like me. I can't walk by someone who's waving at me. I have to try to, okay, where do I know them from? Do I know them from the trivia night? Do I know them from my Facebook? Do I know them from this Instagram? Do I know them from, okay, where do I know them from? And then shake their hand and talk to them. And Leah is exhausted by it. She's so exhausted. She's like, it's like you're running for the mayor of nothing. And that was the John Mulaney joke that Leah said, okay, Mr. Mayor, let's go. It's like, no, I'm just running for the mayor of nothing. And it's like, you're running for the mayor of nothing. And that's my life, because no problem. And I don't know why I have that attitude. I really enjoy working with people. Again, maybe it goes back to the radio side, because I am the be all end all at the station. I'm the face that runs the place, and it's me and my boss, but I'm the face. And so having to do everything for everybody, you just end up having that relationship and wanting to get to know people. And I've been so fortunate through, especially again since 2014, meeting Sheriff Mark. that my life took a very drastic turn in that meeting. At Outback Steakhouse that night. And he's like, Jeff, I think you could do this. I think you could do that. I think you could do this. And then that led to this. And I'll finish with this story right here. This couple in January 30th, 2016, when this was made, to show you how the Native Game Night universe is, it really is a big family. Those two, I think they had just started dating at this time. That's Matt and that's Rachel. Say hi to Dustin. Say hi to Dustin. And they just started dating at that time, and they used the trivia night as the kind of get to know you. So they would hang out after the trivia night, just like you did with your wife, just like I did with my wife. You say, man, there's something pretty about her, and I think I want to hang out with her and spend a little time with her, get to know her better. That was what Wednesday nights became for them. They eventually started dating. Moved in together. They had a kid. They were going to get married. Wow. They came to the trivia night a couple years ago, and I was so excited to see him because life, kid, how a kid changes things. They were excited to be there, and they said, Jeff, when you have a minute, can you come? And I was like, yeah, sure. Because I pass out all the game pads and pens and talk to the people. Again, running for the mayor of nothing. and I'm passing all that stuff out. And then I go back to them and I said, guys, what's going on? I sit in the little booth with them, and Matt's on your side and Rachel's sitting right here and their baby's right here. And I'm like, oh, look at the baby. This is great. and they're like, hey, Jeff, we want to ask you something. And I go, yeah, sure. What do you guys need? What's going on? It's like, we're going to be getting married. And I'm like, dude, that is awesome. I'm so excited for you. I can't believe it. How cool is that? And then they said, and we want you just need to understand how important the trivia night was to our relationship. We want you to do a trivia night experience at our wedding reception. Cool. And I just about pooped my pants. And at first, I thought they were joking. I was like, oh, dude, that's funny. Dude, we'll be there for the wedding. That'll be so great. Yeah. Matt reached across the table. He grabbed me on my arm and dug in. He's like, no, Jeff, you have no idea what this trivia night has given me my wife. It's given me my son. it is so important to us, and we want our family to understand how important it is to us.
That is cool.
And so we did the Native Game Night wedding.
That is so cool.
At the Stillwell House in downtown Tucson. A beautiful, in downtown Tucson, it's kind of a really noisy place, but for some reason, the Stillwell House, they put this beautiful wedding area outdoors with a couple of, and it's so quiet. It's like Tucson just disappears. All the noise and stuff. You get inside here, it's like everything disappears. It was a beautiful venue, beautiful place. And I was scared the entire time. I'm like, how is this going to work? And I've got the photo to show that night of us finishing that night with, and all the tables were different teams, and I'm on the mic. And what I did was I crafted the trivia night, a Family Feud style trivia night around that. The questions had nothing to do with them in particular, but it's like, we all know that Matt loves cars. 100 people surveyed, name a brand of, or something like that. And so I kind of just did it that way. I related the questions to them, but it's not like, hey, so how many months have they been dating everybody? Write down your answer. It's like, nobody knows that. But it's like, we could make it fun and interactive, but about them. And so I tailored it to them. And to this day, being able to do the Native Game Night wedding. I've also emceed wedding receptions of people who have been a part of the Native Game Night universe. So it's like they ask me to come and do something like that on their special day. There's no higher compliment or more humbling opportunity than to be asked to go to somebody's wedding and somebody's wedding reception and be the MC for their, to introduce for the very first time the bride and groom, to have that honor to do that. Is so cool. And it's just, maybe it's the athlete's mindset where it's like, you hand me the ball, I'm going to run through
we're going to go do it.
I'm going to go run through that wall.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do the best I can. And that's where I'm at with this entrepreneurial mindset to be able to say, you hand me the ball. And so I'll just do my best not to drop it, and I'll run as hard as I can. Yeah. And at the end of the day, that's what I want to do for Native Game Night, for the brand, for the family, the Native Game Night universe. Like literally, I got in a bicycle wreck last weekend, and we show up on Wednesday night. There's a balloon and a note.
That is so cool.
But the funny thing is, the note was from, like, sometimes some of the teams, they want to have a joke team as well. So they'll send in like silly answers. Yeah. And we'll get to read the silly answers, mostly family friendly. And one of the team names, or one of the teams, they keep referencing this lady named Cinnamon, and you can imagine what kind of profession Cinnamon has. Yeah. And so what they did was, this team, the balloon, they had like a number 1 balloon, and they taped it to this note that was handwritten and said, I'm so glad you didn't break apart on your bicycle ride, and then they literally put a cinnamon stick attached to it. Love Cinnamon. And I'm like, this is and that just happened last week, so it's like this relationship with these people. It goes much deeper than social media. To me, social media is just a conduit to let them know that when I see them on Wednesday, hey, I saw your grandson had that football game. Hey, I saw that you guys, your kid had his first baseball game. But it is a relationship. Yeah. And that's why I love those social media platforms. I love Instagram. Instagram will always be my first home. Yeah. It will always be my first love, because I did not want Facebook. But Facebook opened up a whole new avenue to reach thousands of more people, and I hopefully have made the most of it. Yeah. Didn't drop the ball. And again, like we talked about, there's dreams, there's plans, there's out of reach things, and Antarctica. It's coming. That's it.
It's coming.
And then after that, the ISS, International Space. This is a very light payload, people. There's not a lot of, look at this. There's no extra payload here. It's going to be absolutely fine. So take it with you to space and get a nice view of Earth from there.
Send it to Elon.
The astronauts. Yeah, exactly. Let him, he'll figure it out. He'll figure out a way to get it up there. But I mean, that's the short story.
No, I love it. It's been awesome. I mean, you literally grew something out of nothing, and that's what's amazing. I think there's tons of opportunity, especially now with things opening back up. If you were to work with that location to really show the data of what you guys have done, how much busier it is on Wednesdays, I think using the data to show how much foot traffic you've driven, and I don't know if you guys have a loyalty program showing how much repeat businesses come back.
Well, I mean, I don't have anything like that, but I mean, the restaurant has the app and things like that. I mean, they have all that.
And I'm
stuff.
sure they would work with you.
All I do is show up and read. That's all I do. I'm an MC, not a DJ. I just show, everything's there. I show up, I read. Leah keeps score of all the team, dozens and dozens of teams every single week. and I get my check. I say thank you, and we go home.
Yeah.
And that's, that it's been a good relationship. I'd love to see it grow into something franchise-wide or something like that, because I see the potential.
Opportunities there.
I see the potential, and it was awesome when the Tucson location contacted me and wanted to talk to me. I'd love to talk to them again. I'd love to take this thing to them and show them. I can just say, go to Google. Just Google Native Grill and Wings Sierra Vista. Look at the highest peak of the week.
Yeah.
It won't be Friday. It won't be Saturday. It'll be Wednesday from 6 to 8. Literally, the highest. It's higher than Friday and Saturday. That's
amazing.
It is. It's so
really
silly.
is.
But that might have a lot to do with the community, and I know it does. I know it has a lot to do with the heart of Sierra Vista and that area. And there's people who drive over from Douglas. Just last week, some friends of mine drove over. That's an hour drive, and they had to wait to get a they waited for like 45 minutes.
Jeez.
But the cool part was, while they're sitting right next to us, they were playing the game while they were waiting. So I mean, they still had a score and stuff. By the time they got to their table to finish the second half of the game, they were already, they got their food and stuff, and they were happy. But at least, maybe even if you have to wait for your table, at least it's not like, you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs or sitting there scroll. There's actually something to do, at least on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
But I mean, looking at it, it's one big family, and I'm so fortunate that I was so negative about it, because I can look back now, I can see how wrong I was.
Yeah.
That's the part of the story I love the most, is I was so wrong.
Yeah.
I was so wrong. I had no idea how wrong I was. But knowing that guy who was standing behind me in September of 2015, and the guy who was sitting next to me since September of 2014, and all these things that I MC with Sheriff Mark, and then the guy ended up being right behind me who would change my life, the course and the direction that my life would take to be at this place now. I pinch myself. I'm like, to have these relationships and to have Instagram friends that I've never met before, who are blue checkmark verified, that we follow each other. And Henry Doe is ridiculous. His wife Vicky is so cool. We would drive up to Vegas to go meet up with them when they were coming through this part of the country and hang out with them. And we explained to people, it's like, oh, what are you going up to Vegas for? It's like, well, to meet people we've never met before. It's like, what? Or is that safe? I don't know what's wrong. No, it's going to be great. Because I have his phone. We text and stuff. We keep in touch. And I'll pinch myself like, oh my gosh, I'm texting with Henry Doe. And it's just ridiculous. And these friendships that I've made with people who I haven't met until today, and to see the things that you're doing here, helping real entrepreneurs, with their dreams and watching their full-time energy life being poured into something, and highlighting them. It shows your heart too. It does. It shows your heart to want them to succeed, because you have your own business too. This whole place here, this is the business, and what you do is the business, but you want others, but your mind is on others as well.
That's our main goal. Help others grow. I mean, we kind of joke around because it sounds cheesy, but I mean, we're doing all these things to try and help change family trees. Not just we're going to put more money in the pocket of the business owner, but maybe they have a long line of generations that haven't spent time with their kids because they've put all their money into the company business. Maybe we can come in, help them grow, get the resources so they can have more free time, or maybe their kid hasn't gone through college, or no one in their family has gone through college, and we can do things
think about that side
and
of it.
do that. Wow. And even more so, not even just on the business, but like what you're doing. If we came in and helped, and all of a sudden there's a bunch of people, in the local area that have never heard of it, now it gives them an opportunity to do more family time that they've never had to do, that isn't crazy expensive, whatever it may be. So now changing the consumer, their family tree by highlighting the awareness of the business services, whatever it may be, of our clients and stuff like that. And it's just trying to change families.
And it's funny because Native Game Night is a family night. I mean, we've seen families grow. We've seen people get married. We've seen them have children. We've seen their families become a family. They went from individual units to a family. We've seen it all grow. And again, just this is as a side hustle, a silly side hustle on the side of being an MC, where I've had the opportunity to one of my favorite MC real quick. One of my favorite MC gigs that I did was I got to MC the Cochise College Comic-Con. Now you're going, I have no idea what that is. I didn't either. It'd been going on for like 5 years, and I heard about it on year 4, and I was like, oh, you know what I ought to do is I saw it on one of the social medias. And I'm like, I can go get a certificate photo with Darth Vader. How cool is that? and so I did. That's one of the photos we'll show you. And so going there and seeing that, I was like, I need to MC this.
Yeah.
And so I actually got in touch with the person who put the Cochise College Comic-Con together. And he's one of the directors there at the college of one of the programs, a digital arts program, I think.
Yep.
Usually that's what it is. It's the geek squad of the college that puts together the Comic-Con. I'd never been to a Comic-Con. I didn't know the first thing about cosplay, but I said, look, I want to help you MC things. What can I do? And he said, well, we have these panels. Every hour, there's somebody different on that stage that somebody comes for. We'll have a voiceover actor. We'll have an author. We'll have cosplayers. We'll have somebody who's an artist who draws things. And we need someone to maybe interview them. And I looked at it, I was like, you're telling me I get to interview a new person every hour for like 10 hours in a row? And that was my dream come true. And I said, okay, so we set it up and this is a Saturday, Sunday thing. And so on Saturday, I show up, and then there's the local Star Trekkie guy, and there's 3 people in the audience because it's right when it opens up, and I said, look, instead of me standing over the podium, I just want to sit let's just pull out the chairs. We'll just sit right here and we'll just talk, and people will be coming in. And I learned all about the local Star Trek Federation. And then somebody else came, and the next person came. There's a voiceover actor that I got to meet named Quentin Flynn, who was the voiceover for Axel in Kingdom Hearts. I didn't know what Kingdom Hearts was. I had no idea who he was, but I met him and we hit it off, and we're friends. I just texted him today before I came over here. He's like, man, you're going to crush it. You're going to do great. And it's like, I get to meet some really cool people. But the one story from there was an author who wrote a book called SEAL Team 666, which is like X-Files meets SEAL Team.
Yeah.
I had no idea who he was. He actually lives in Sierra Vista. I didn't know this. And his book got optioned by 7 Bucks Production, which is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's production company. And I got to learn this when he got up to the panel. I met him. I said, hi there, because I've been working in people, and I had my eye on the clock. What I wanted to do is I just wanted to weave a narrative for the people who were there to learn about this person. We're going to learn about we have 1 hour. We're going to learn about everything we possibly can. I'm going to start you on their journey, where they're from, and then just go from there. And I did some research. I printed up some Wikipedia pages that I found out were all wrong. I should have gone to IMDb instead. But I tried to do some homework. I really did. I wanted to take this thing seriously, which is the Cochise College Comic-Con. I took it seriously. And but I think they were grateful that I did, and I was grateful that I did too. And so this author, SEAL Team 666, I shake his hand. I said, hey, Weston, it's nice to meet you. My name's Jeff. I'm going to be the panel moderator for this hour. Yeah. And he looks at me, shakes my hand, and he goes, I handle this. It's fine. I don't need you here. And I go, well, no, I'm here to help, and I'm here to kind of just guide the conversation, and I can help you. I can throw things to you, and then I toss you softballs, and you knock them out. I mean, your booth is right up there. You've been hearing me do this with these guys for the last 4 hours. And he's like, look, do you even know who I am? Have you even read one of my books? And I had a choice at that moment. I could say, I love you, man. I've read all your books. I know exactly who you are. Or I could have told the truth, which is what I did. Mm-hmm. I said, Weston, I don't know you. I don't know your books. I don't know your history with writing, but I promise you, at the end of this hour, everyone will know who you are. Yeah. Everyone. And he looked at me, he's like, oh, okay. And then I took it. That hour was up. He came over, he shook my hand, said that was the best interview I've ever had. And I was like, that's what I'm here for. And I mean, so having that interaction as an MC, working that side of it. And then of course you're seeing people from the trivia night come by, oh, Jeff, what's going on? And stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's just, again, it's a big family. And in that community, it's neat to see the opportunities that I've had. My gosh, I've had 3 albums. I'm a musician, songwriter, and that is cool. On IMDb, I have lived a surreal, serendipitous life at 44 years old, and it's all hubbed around this silly side hustle called Native Game Night. That is awesome. And I'm so glad to have had the opportunity to talk to you about it today and share some of the photos and the silly certificate photos that we get from all over the world and all across America, that people take the silly certificate with them where they go.